You are listening to KSG Podcast. This is a short, crisp, concise, exam oriented, edited editorial for civil services aspirants. In this podcast, we are going to talk about NASA's moon mission being named after Artemis. Source for the content is Marie Claire's Beaulieu's article for the conversation. Artemis I will send a rocket without a crew on a month long journey around the moon. The program aims to increase women's participation in space exploration. 30% of its engineers are women. In addition, the Artemis I mission will carry two mannequins designed to study the effects of radiation on women's bodies so that NASA can learn how to protect female astronauts better. Female astronauts are currently less likely to be selected for missions than men because their bodies tend to hit NASA's maximum acceptable threshold of radiation earlier. NASA expects to bring the first woman and person of color to the moon on Artemis III sometime after 2024. As a scholar of Greek mythology, I find the name of the mission quite evocative. The Greeks and Romans associated Artemis with the moon, and she has also become a modern day feminist icon. Artemis was a major deity in ancient Greece, worshipped at least as early as the beginning of the first millennium BC or even earlier. She was a daughter of Zeus, the chief god of the Olympians, who ruled the world from the summit of Mount Olympus. She was also the twin sister of Apollo, god of the sun and oracles. Artemis was a virgin goddess of the wilderness and hunting. Her independence and strength have long inspired women in a wide range of activities. For example, in a poem titled Artemis, author Alison Eyre Jenks writes, and I quote, I am no longer your godmother, your chef, your bus stop, your therapist, your junk drawer, unquote, emphasizing women's freedom and autonomy. As the goddess of animals and the wilderness, Artemis has also inspired environmental conservancy programs in which the goddess is viewed as an example of a woman exercising her power by caring for the planet. However, while the Greek Artemis was strong and courageous, she wasn't always kind and caring, even towards women. Her rashness was used to explain a woman's sudden death, especially while giving birth. This aspect of the goddess has faded away with time. With the rise of feminism, Artemis has become an icon of feminine power and self reliance. NASA has a long history of naming its missions after mythological figures. Starting in the 1950s, many rockets and launch systems were named after Greek sky deities like Atlas and Saturn, whose Greek name is Kronos. Atlas and Saturn weren't just gods, they were titans. In Greek mythology, titans represent the untamed primordial forces of nature, and so they evoke the prodigious vastness of space exploration. Although the Titans were known for their immense strength and power, they were also rebellious and dangerous and were eventually defeated by the Olympians, who represent civilization in Greek mythology. Following the advent of human spaceflight, NASA began naming missions after children of Zeus who are associated with the sky. The Mercury program, active from 1958 to 1963, was named after Hermes's Roman counterpart, the messenger god who flies between Olympus, Earth, and the underworld with his winged sandals. Starting in 1963, the 3 year long Gemini program featured a capsule designed for two astronauts and was named after the twin sons of Zeus, Castor and Pollux, known as the Dioscuri in Greek, who were cast in the stars as constellation of Gemini. They were regularly represented with a star above their heads in Greek and Roman art. The Space Shuttle program, which lasted from 1981 to 2011, diverted from mythological monikers, and the names Columbia, Challenger, Discovery, Atlantis, and Endeavour were meant to evoke a spirit of innovation. With Artemis, NASA is nodding back to the Apollo program, which lasted from 1963 to 1972 and put the first men on the moon in 1969. Over 50 years later, Artemis will pick up where her twin brother left off, ushering in a more diverse era of human spaceflight. That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. To join KSG India courses and to crack the IAS exam, visit ksgindia.com. You can also get a PDF of this podcast on ksgindia.com. Thanks for listening and do subscribe to our channel.